Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jonathan Fisher. When you're trying to get a startup off the ground, your biggest challenge isn't figuring out features and benefits. It isn't even figuring out your go to market model, your messaging, your sales process, or any of that. It's the fact that nobody knows who the heck you are. Well, what if you can go viral on the world's largest and most influential social media platform for business owners, none other than LinkedIn? Well, today's guest did just that. And if you're a fan of the show, he's no stranger to you. We have with us today Anton Dobrzhanskiy, and he is one of the founding members of the tech startup Epicbrief, which is a very powerful tool which is being designed to support outbound sales, make the human work of selling far more effective and far more enjoyable. And recently, Anton and his team achieved an amazing level of success with their content based outreach strategy on LinkedIn and managed to go viral. And Anton is about to share with us step by step exactly how they did it and how we can do it as well. Anton, we're excited to hear from you today. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for having me. Excited as well.
Well, I mean, going viral is kind of the gold standard of a successful outreach campaign on any platform. Um, First of all, did you set out to even go viral, or were you just trying to put together a good overall content based strategy?
I mean, I think everybody who wants to do any content marketing or on social media platforms like LinkedIn or Instagram, it's sort of like a wild dream. Like, what if I do? We can do like a one post and it just goes viral. So that's obviously like it's a goal, but when you start reading about it online, it does sound like not very achievable goal because it doesn't happen very often. So yeah, I think for us it was definitely something we really wanted to achieve is to get as much coverage as possible, but you know it was like 2 months in, nothing's going on. I was happy if we get 12 or 16,000 impressions, and to get 12 to 16,000 impressions was like me trying to design the perfect post, get as much value there as I could, and yeah, and then when one day you make a post and in about 2 days time there's an almost 3.5 million views or impressions, you sort of go like, wow, this was pretty cool. So yeah, definitely dreaming about that, because it's a good goal,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
it's hard to plan something like that, I think.
Well, it is, but on the other hand, now that you've done it, perhaps that can be back engineered, and I hope we can help our listener do that today. Before we jump into sort of the nuts and bolts and step by step, quick reminder to the audience: hey, we're here live. We'd love you to share your questions for us to tackle those at the end of our half-hour conversation. No need to wait. You can go ahead and post those questions right in chat at the moment. We'll bank them and circle back to those at the end. So, Anton, when it comes to putting together your strategy, I guess first of all, did you map it all out in advance, in detail, or was it more broad? Tell us a little bit about how you began before this whole thing, hit the ceiling like it did.
Yeah, I think um, I'll start from the very beginning. I think for us, as you, Jonathan, said, Epic Brief, we're building Epic Brief, and our target audience or our main user is a salesperson, so account executive or sales manager, um, and the first thing we had to do is to just, it wasn't that hard, but I think in many other cases it might be more harder than for us. But for us, it was very clear that where salespeople live, majority of salespeople live on LinkedIn, because that's one of the channels you reach out to people or gather information. So a lot of salespeople are on LinkedIn. So for us, it was very clear where should we kind of put our efforts into. And the second step was really about um, just trying to see how things actually work on LinkedIn. I think we've been, at least I was posting, before Epic Brief. and I couldn't really figure it out, like, because it wasn't very intentional. But once you start kind of, that this is where our audience live, that then it started being more intentional. And then the second step was to figure out, what am I actually going to talk about? Like, is there some theme or something what maybe I know, or Mira knows, and what is our shared knowledge, what we can then share with people, or maybe opinions. And that wasn't very clear, because if you look at amount of sales content, or B2B sales related content on LinkedIn, it's very crowded space. There's a lot of
Hmm.
voices. So for us, it wasn't very clear that any type of sales advice or opinion would be received, because there's just so many people who already have a massive following. um, and for us, it was kind of a split. We first decided that we'll talk about AI in sales, and occasionally we would say something about B2B sales and give some advice or some frameworks. um, for us, the AI in sales didn't really work really well. I think it was, again, we kind of started posting about AI in sales um, where there were, again, a lot of hype. ChatGPT just came out, everybody was talking about AI, and it was very hard to break through. Especially, I don't have any background in AI. I have background in sales, and all I could share was experience of building Epicbrief. And at some point, I just decided to focus on sales, or just B2B sales advice, and or experience about my personal experience, or my admirations towards salespeople, camaraderie, you can call it. And yeah, so, and then it was just, I think there was one important point I want to share with people is, like, if you are intentional, and you really want to to use the platform to reach your audience, don't go it's almost like, don't go to, like, if you're going to gym, you might as well do it right. And one of the things which helped me, is to understand what is the game about. Like, what is this, to think, what are the rules of the game. And one of the resource which really helped me is actually the book, or it's called LinkedIn Influencer Playbook, I guess, if I remember correctly. But it's by Samantha Kina, I think. I don't
Hmm.
remember the name. Sorry, Samantha, but um, she has that book, and she used to work in LinkedIn. So she kind of broke down what are the main components, like how the algorithms work, and give you, like, actionable advice of how to think about posting, and how to structure it, and all that kind of stuff. It's not like she gives you all the answers, but she kind of explains to you the rules of the game. And that was really helpful, because you're kind of not going to play poker without knowing the rules. You're at least going there knowing the rules, and all you have to do is just figure out your way to win the game, in a way. So that was very helpful, to understand the rules of the game.
Well, and so I'd like to go deeper on the rules of the game. One insight that I think is worth highlighting is you started by posting content that was, I don't want to say it was hyped. I think it did become a little bit hyped, but it was of great interest. I think it's a very natural intuition that when people are buzzing about it, that you want to take advantage of that buzz, get into the conversation, and there might be some leverage there. But it sounds like your experience was a little different. The buzz was maybe a distraction because there was just so much of it, you couldn't get heard through the clutter. Instead, it became a lot more on the ground, really where your target audience is feeling interested or concerned in a more pragmatic, personal way. That's probably a good takeaway. Would you agree with that? You want to riff on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's something sort of like unique to the situation we were, but I think there was also one sort of direct, talking more about fundamental sales, is the fact we found this study from university in the US, which one, but they basically did a study, and they said, and what they found is that uh, salespeople who are lower skilled uh, get actually no benefit from using AI. So that was very interesting, kind of to us. It was kind of breaking some of our hypotheses initially that like
Hmm.
that AI can help basically any salesperson, but the study showed that people who have lower skills and who are maybe low, like at the bottom of the performance or even in the middle, they actually get no benefit at all from using AI. And then only top performers who have high skill already, they get like two, three. I think there was like 280% increase in their performance. So it's a crazy number. And well, what we sort of set out to do is in a way, okay, how can we kind of share what we know? Maybe it will help people, and maybe it will increase the overall level, which basically indirectly helps us to prove the value of Epicbrief and say like, okay, if you increase the level of salespeople, and we try to do that through social media, through LinkedIn, maybe give some advice, and there's a lot of other people doing that. If we can kind of push that narrative to help salespeople improve, then they will benefit from AI tools in general um, more more than they would. And yeah, and that's sort of why we. And I mean, in the beginning, also you have to remember, like I just started. Probably my copy wasn't great, and my understanding of the game wasn't great. So it might have been a totally different game if I would have maybe figured out how to copyright, how to do post, and about like AI and sales and stuff like that. But yeah, it's I think there's a lot of factors which came kind of together and pushed us more in the direction of speaking more about fundamentals in sales, and rather than going into AI and sales. Because yeah, people, I don't also feel that people are maybe not so ready yet, even today, maybe not so ready to consume AI kind of content, just because it's sort of still kind of vague. um, and a lot of people probably tried a lot of tools, and at least to our knowledge, a lot of tools, AI tools, which are built now for salespeople, are they're popping up every day. They're just not providing the great experience or results which you'd hope to.
Yeah, right on. Well, so walk us through the Anton. You realized you needed to pivot a little bit and have a different core genre of content, if you will, to be more relatable to your audience. So, how did it happen? Like, tell us, post one, post two, post three, and then when did you realize it was going viral? What did you do next? So, walk us through all that, if you would.
Yeah, so I started just. I think one of the things I'll start from the moment once I started kind of reading the book, or once I understood the name of the game or the rules of the game. I'm not sure if the audience knows this, but there are literally two the most important things you have to know when you're posting. Is if you ever see on LinkedIn, this that it shows like a part in the beginning of your post. The first very important button is see more. So if you design your post in a way where people click see more, LinkedIn algorithm picks it up and shows it to more people. So that's the first kind of check you
Hmm.
have to achieve. And the
Okay.
second check is if they comment, and this so comments increase the engagement and give the algorithm to know that it's valuable content. And the third one is the like. So likes actually don't matter that much in the end of the day. What matters is like see more and comments, and then likes are sort of um, like they sit lower in the ranking. Um, but yeah, I think the beginning was just religiously posting on LinkedIn every single day. And trying to understand, like I think the number one, so it's religiously posting, and then I had to make sure that before I even attempt to do anything big, I didn't know at the time what that would be, but I was thinking that we could come up with the killer content. But before I do anything big, I needed to make sure that even those like 2,000, 3,000 impression posts, that they were going into right audience, that I wasn't talking, that my content wasn't consumed by software engineers, but was consumed by salespeople, by sales managers, by CEOs, by VPs, by CROs. So that was sort of the first goal I wanted to achieve, is to break through somehow into the audience I wanted to reach. Uh, then step number 2 was to figure out um, the locations because sometimes, like, I live in Finland, so and majority of our customer base is actually in US.
Mm.
So for me to figure out how does the algorithm, like, does algorithm even care that I'm in Finland, or is it about the time of the day I'm posting, or how does that whole thing work? And unfortunately, there are no rules to that, so you
Mm.
just have to figure it out by just kind of following those metrics. And thanks God nowadays LinkedIn has all those metrics, so it's pretty easy to figure that out. And then there was a time when I was like, okay, I'm actually in the right audience, and I'm inside the right geography. So then, and it was around the time I had a friend who posted a transfer pricing cheat sheet, and I just don't know how I ended up on his profile, and I was like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. And yeah, and then I was like, I called Mira and I'm like, dude, we have to do like a cheat sheet. We have all the content, so let's just try and put something together. And then we decided which would be the categories,
Mm.
and then put them in Canva and Figma. I just prepared the cheat sheet. And yeah, like once it was ready, I was kind of looking at it and I was like, this is actually pretty cool. Like, I would like to have this cheat sheet. Like, and yeah, and then we just did the post, and yeah, it blew up. Uh, it was yeah, I remember. I think it was about like 10:30 in the morning. I'm kind of clicking the post. Well, the story was not that smooth. Like, I first did a post. It's like I'm using some software which kind of gives me a way to see like how the post will look like,
Hmm.
and it wasn't working, man. Like, it just wasn't working, and I'm like,
Classic.
oh gosh, like, I don't even know how it's gonna look like, because I never posted a PDF, or like a PNG, and
Hmm.
I knew that LinkedIn somehow cuts it, that
Hmm.
I needed to see it. And I was like, man, I really need to post now, because this is a good time. It's Tuesday, like 10:30, whatever. I can't post later. And then I figured out a hack. Like, I created a private LinkedIn group for myself, and
Mm.
like that nobody could see. And then it just posted there. And I was like, okay, now I know how it looks like.
Nice.
So, and then I do the post, and literally first 30 minutes, nothing happens, like nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, I shouldn't have posted in this in this group. I totally did the wrong thing. This is not
Mm.
gonna work. And then I just went for lunch. And I'm literally start eating my food, and I'm looking at my phone, and it's just buzzing. It literally doesn't stop. It's just like every second, boom, 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 boom.
Wow.
And I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna eat. I'm running back to the office, because I know that at least from the book, there was like, once you start getting comments, just reply, because you need to kind of
Mm.
start warming up that algorithm. You have to reply to everybody, and you have to kind of address it, whatever. Like, you have to keep up the engagement.
Mm.
And by the time, I think it was about like 15 minutes for me to run back to the office, yeah, it's already, like, you could see clearly, just exploding. So we had nothing set up, like absolutely nothing. I was just looking at my LinkedIn. My screen was frozen, because people were not just commenting and liking; they were actually sending me messages to get a PDF version of the cheat sheet, and it was just like buzzing, like those, like when you get a message, it just opens up,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do anything. It was all just frozen. So I somehow through my phone had to figure out that at least those messages don't pop up. Yeah, and then you just grind, like you have to, because I promised that I'm gonna reply to everybody and give them a PDF. So we just were trying to grind it out. I was replying by myself until I think 3 p.m. And then Miro was, I think they were working on some design stuff with Antonia, and then he's just like, yeah, dude, it doesn't look like you can handle this. There's like 1.5 thousand comments. He's like, you can't handle this. This is crazy. And then he just jumped on my account as well, and we just started kind of punching it out, and it was about, I think, 2.5 weeks of no sleep, just answering people. I'm still, by this time, I think I missed maybe hundreds of people, but I can't get to the comments because there's like 10,500 comments.
Oh,
I,
wow.
I, I don't think I can get to everybody. I just don't know, because if I click see more, it just kicks me out, and then you have to do it all over again. So, but
That's
I did my
amazing.
best.
That is very cool. So, I mean, come on, 10,500 comments. That's not many. You could get to them in a day, easy. No, that's pretty amazing. So, were there some memorable comments that stand out to you? Like I mean, obviously there was quite a conversation going on. What kind of sticks in your mind just as we're talking today that was notable or funny or especially insightful?
I think I think one of the learnings, I was actually quite impressed, like just from the maybe competence, like salespeople competence perspective, is I'm sure everybody is getting messages on LinkedIn, when salespeople are reaching out and offering their products, or whatever, and typically those messages they're just bad most of the time.
Hmm.
But when people were reaching out for a PDF because of their personal interest and they were really interested in this, the messages were extremely good, like really, really good. Like it wasn't, it was, they were very brief. Some people explained why they needed faster than anybody else. Like people were getting very creative.
Hmm.
And I just realized this one thing, like when salespeople think, or when salespeople really want something and they put their minds to that, actually messages were really, really good. Like I was not expecting people to be, you know so straight to the point, at the same time very polite, at the same time some even did like a research, like, hey, whatever, I follow your post, I like Epicbrief, can you give me whatever. And that was pretty impressive, like for me, because the messages you get every day are pretty bad, but the messages people were sending were actually extremely good. So
That's really
that's
cool.
that's one takeaway. Yeah.
That's neat. Did you do anything else to keep the engagement going other than just responding?
No, not really. I was really, I was just like Miro and me, we were just heads down. I remember we split the task. I was doing comments. So when people comment and ask for PDF, I would, like it, send it, and then reply.
Hmm.
And then he would be on emails, because it was just, there was enough. I think there was like, whatever we have in comments, there's probably the same amount in emails, where people did not comment, or like, they just straight up shoot us a message. Um, so we kind of split it this way. Um, it's, what else? Well, I think it just personally, it's not, like we didn't have even time to like celebrate, for example, or just to acknowledge anything. You're just kind of grinding it all, for
Hmm.
for all those weeks. And it's sort of like, maybe, uh, I think what was very, very interesting is the fact that maybe all the pre-work we've done by getting to the right audience and um, to the right geographies was that it resulted in huge amount of inflow of like inbound interest for our tool. For example, I think we have about one close to 2,000 people on wait list.
Hmm.
So that was like, because I know, or at least the experience I have of when I was researching viral posts, that a lot of posts would go viral and get a lot of eyeballs, but then it doesn't really translate into anything for the business the person is in, or for anything of kind of value in return.
Right.
um, so I think that's also one of the good learnings or tips is like not all viral posts are equally beneficial for the company you're working in, or whatever the goal you're trying to achieve. If you're just trying to get viral, people could post something very controversial. I think there was a guy who posted something about Formula One, something very controversial, went viral, but literally got no business out of it. And
Right.
you know so yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question for you is what kind of real tangible return business wise is there, and that may be a direct ROI, may not be. Ideally, you're getting targeted prospects to the top of your funnel, though, right, for future business. And it looks like that. Sounds like that's happened. Have there been some other payoffs from this campaign, like even strategic connections or things like that? Or
Yeah,
maybe
I
even
think there
or,
was.
or your personal brand as well. Maybe it's affected all those areas as well, perhaps.
No, I think so there are two things really. um and I don't know if people are going to look at it, but I'm just going to share it with the audience. Maybe it's not very good to share this, but so it's we got a lot of advice. So once we went viral, and people were kind of watching at us like, why are you guys just sitting and replying it by hand? Like, just put it in the Google Drive, share the link, everybody's going to get it. And so one thing which is very important, I feel, is that personal kind of connection with another person who is in your target audience, because everybody who got the PDFs, um, they're on my LinkedIn. It's not a whenever I will maybe need help or need advice or ask them for a favor or whatever it is, um, I'm already connected with them inside of their message, inside of the inbox, right? So that's a huge value for somebody who knows how to do sales, for example. That
Mhm.
you're not reaching out to somebody via email. You already sort of had that conversation with them. They said thank you. You provided another value. A lot of people also came back for some other posts, etc. So there is ongoing conversation, and that's sort of it's priceless from that end. um, and then yeah, so that's kind of a good outcome, is even if we don't have all those 20,000 or 30,000 people who signed up on the wait list, but we do have, uh, we know where they live.
Mm.
In a way. So um, yeah, so that's a tangible, at least from our perspective, that's a very tangible sort of um, outcome. Then obviously wait list, and then yeah, it's pretty. I think it's also quite interesting that I don't know if it goes along with a personal brand, but I do ask people like, why did you sign up for the waitlist? Because obviously the first kind of step was the content, and then it's not very obvious that that content translates to Epicbrief. But a lot of people, I asked this question, said that, hey, like I see all these other tools on the market, but you guys seem like you know what you're doing. You know about B2B sales. You seem like you seem to understand it on the fundamental level. I agree with your point of view. This content already helped me, and I'm just excited to see what kind of tool you're building, because based on your content, you know what you're doing. So I trust in that you're gonna build the tool which helps me, because you already helped me. So that was a good finding. that it's also translates. Maybe it's a personal brand, what you're saying, but it's sort of people start trusting me, and that trust sort of gets transferred to Epicbrief, just because I'm a co-founder of Epicbrief, and that's the tool we're building. So that was also quite an interesting finding.
Cool. Cool. Well, I'll tell you what, we've had a very fast conversation here, Anton. I think it's been very informative to the listener. It sounds like you're not hurting for waitlist members, but you can always take a few more, right? What's the best way for folks to follow up with you and your team there at epicbrief.com? And first of all, maybe tell us a little bit more about what Epicbrief is. I shared a bit in the intro that it's a powerful set of tools to kind of take care of. From you talking to me about it, it sounds like it's going to hopefully take care of some of the undesirable aspects of doing sales, record keeping, and helping track your results and recordings. It's all in one to do all the stuff you don't like to do in selling, unless you do what you do enjoy about selling. Is that fair? Want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think yeah, what we're all about and what Epicbrief is built for. I think it's good to know it's built for salespeople and for sales teams. The salespeople have specific jobs to do, and they have specific activities they're doing, especially. And there are some activities which they know they should be doing, but they don't do them for multiple reasons. At least when I was a sales rep, there were things like preparing for the calls. I almost never prepare for the calls, like maybe 2 minutes. And the reason is because they might not show up, or it's sort of not qualified opportunity, whatever. So you actually don't put the effort, but a lot of times that hurts you um, really badly when you're in the call and it's actually a qualified buyer and you're unprepared. That's quite hurtful for your deal. Then there are a bunch of activities which help you keep up momentum, like sending a full recap email, for example, or um, doing like a call debrief, just having great notes so that you can prepare for the next conversation. Some of those things were, at least for me, they were living in my head most of the time. I know there are 10 to 15% of salespeople who uh, I'm really jealous about, that they can focus on the conversation at the same time do great notes. But I was never one of them, so I was typically having either bad notes, or I had to go back in the night and watch the Gong recording or whatever the tool you guys are using, and then just type my notes, and that was horrible experience. So, and then one of the aspects any salesperson hates is filling in their CRM. So that's also one of the burdens we want to take away, and it's very important to fill in your CRM, because that's the information for your organization. But actually, filling it in is very anxious activity, because you can't just put your bad notes there. A lot of people will read them, so you have to put them in somewhat good format. So yeah, doing those activities after the call is something which we want to help salespeople achieve.
Yeah, right on, right on. Well, so we want to give a little time to our audience to ask some Q&A here, Anton. So let's take a look and see what we've got in the hopper. Here's a question from Levi Popak, and he's asking, how has the experience of going viral influenced your content strategy moving forward from here?
It's a very good question, Lavi. I think one of the rules we have as founders and as entrepreneurs and also as salespeople is, once you hit gold, keep digging. It's sort of like, a lot of people would like, I don't know how much you know about the gold rush, but like when you find gold, like you don't go to another spot. Like you have to go and start digging deeper. So I think for us, once we realize that the content in a format of something visual, something valuable, something what people can take away and maybe implement, uh, that's valuable. So for us, it's just going down the line of what kind of content we can create. So another, for example, we had this B2B cheat sheet. Then we had a content also quite successful B2B calendar. Then just recently I posted B2B sales hiring cheat sheet. They didn't go as viral, but actually it's pretty interesting to see it gets a lot of engagements, and we get a lot of people reaching out. So we will just continue doing something similar, cheat sheet, toolkit, whatever you call it, but something visual, something actionable, something what people can just take away and implement. So that's the direction we will go, and that's what we've been doing for the past month. Okay, sorry, Jonathan, I can't hear you.
Oh, here's a good question for a LinkedIn user. Viral content has a short shelf life, often true. How do you plan to capitalize on the momentum generated by your viral post?
Well, I think for us, the main the main kind of capital was kind of achieved. So it's I think before the post I had like 2,000 followers. Now there's, I think, 15,000 or something like that. So we basically, what it means is that, we what if we hit the goal another time and there's another post which people see as valuable as that cheat sheet, then it will just reach more people. I think another one is just the fact that it seems like people just know, about those cheat sheets. Like, they just know, people reaching out, people are correlating Epicbrief brand with the cheat sheet or with the content. It's much easier to be someone who, to have some sort of recognition than to be like an unknown person or unknown startup, and try and get interest. So for us, like, capitalizing on momentum just means keep doing what we're doing,
Mhm.
maybe do some stuff even better, and yeah. And I mean, having almost 2,000 people on the wait list, we have so much work to do to also onboard them.
Mm.
And I think it's a good head start for us. But yeah, keeping on the momentum is very important, just to make sure that we don't stop posting in any way, and just continue kind of, beating the drums.
Yeah, right on. So here's a question back from Levy. So was there any negative feedback? And if so, how did you handle that?
There were, I think, two or three people who would. So there was like feedback around the content itself, where somebody just said that, I think there was a person, he said that he doesn't understand, what's there and why is it what it is, that it's just like super not valuable. Like the way I handled it, I just said thanks, thanks for feedback. I'll try to make it better next time. I don't believe that, people have opinions, and that's totally fine. It just doesn't worth it's not worth kind of engaging in the fight or conversation if somebody just has negative feedback. And I did my best, and I had my best intentions, so it's on them in a way.
Yeah.
I think a couple of people also just said that uh, the cheat sheets are great, but people typically don't read them, or they don't use them, or whatever. And that's not something I believe in. I think if people, maybe there is percentage of people who didn't never read it or didn't get any value out of it, but there are people who at least have it as a cheat sheet. They know that information, so they could put it on the wall. Like, for example, I have it. I'm not in the office now, but I have it there, and every time I'm in doubt, I'll just look at it, and it just helps to have it all on the same page. So I'm using it, not every day, but when I'm in doubt, or I need a reminder, I do use the cheat sheet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, naysayers are going to say nay. What can you do, right? It's just it's part of the deal. Some people get some perverse pleasure from that, but when you look at the overwhelming response, I guess that's a big part of it too, isn't it? Here's a question from Juan. Let's wrap it up with this one for today, then, Anton. In a nutshell, so maybe just kind of tie a nice bow on this. You've had some time to think about this. What is it that came together? In a nutshell, why do you believe your post went viral?
I think there is an element of timing. So I did research after the post that I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks before there was a first cheat sheet, and that first cheat sheet was something like finance cheat sheet, if I remember correctly. And that's when, like, there are sort of like those trends, like either on LinkedIn or Twitter, where somebody comes up with concept like cheat sheet, or then on Twitter there was like these things where investors or VCs, they would create like a list of all the VCs in the world that, and would
Mm,
share it with people. So people come up with those concepts, and I think
mm.
if you're in the beginning of that wave and you catch it, that's a great timing, because people are not yet tired of those cheat sheets. Now, for example, you can see on LinkedIn quite a lot of cheat sheets. I've seen also some sales cheat sheets, and um, they don't get that engagement because people are just, they've seen enough of those cheat sheets.
Yeah.
So there's definitely timing. I think another one is that we we did not sort of, it wasn't a controversial cheat sheet. It wasn't something which people would need to study in many ways. It was just something visual, simple visual framework. What people just, it was almost like validating what people already knew, and that would, and the reason, and it would fit with the concept of the cheat sheet, right? Like when it's not something you need to learn, but it's something you use as its cheat sheet, but you just never put it together. So it's not like we blew up people's minds of like, hey, this is, these are all the methodologies, or this is kind of frameworks. Like, people knew about them, but they never could visualize it, because it's putting up frameworks or finding them or researching about different frameworks is just time consuming. But you probably know about challenger sale, about buyer personas, about all that stuff, but having it in a visual format is really valuable, because sometimes you need to explain yourself, or remind yourself something, and having that is very good. And then I think a third element is just knowing the rules of the game. uh, I don't think that if if I would have written that post in another way, or if we would reacted to the post in a way like putting the link instead of just replying, and kind of feeding the algorithm with all the engagement, I don't think that it would have went viral, because I think after like 3 days it started to slow down, and it was like 2 a.m. I still remember that moment. It was slowing down, and then we still had like thousands of comments and thousands of emails to reply. And then we just decided with Mira that we're not going to sleep, because we can't slow it down. We have to wait until Australia wakes up and picks it up. So we just doubled down, and until 5 a.m. we had to keep going, and then we saw that it spiked again. So there are it was fun experience to see that you can kind of revive it, and then it spiked again for, I think, another like 500,000 impressions, because Australia picked it up, then India woke up, and it kind of went back to the US, Europe. So yeah, a lot of things came down together. Uh, yeah,
That's very cool. Well, it's been really great to hear your story, Anton. There's a lot to learn. I think it's a case study worth even digging deeper into in terms of how it played off the algorithms. But I think we've got a lot of great takeaways for the audience. So thanks for joining us and adding a ton of value to the Evolve Sales Leader today.
thank you very much, Jonathan.
All right. You're
It was a
welcome back
pleasure.
anytime. Yeah. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Well, and to our audience, I want to thank you for being here and helping us have such a successful ride here at the Evolved Sales Leader. And I do have a bit of a bittersweet note to share with you. We are going to be sharing our final Evolved Sales Leader live on September the 1st. We'll be sunsetting the show at that time. I'll be back. We'll be talking about ways to advance your success and hone your skills and grow in a future format, but we'll definitely be taking a pause, and that will be our last Evolve Sales Leader live on September the 1st. I got some fantastic guests coming here between now and then, so don't miss it. Bring your friends. Help us end it on a fantastic, big, fat boom, and we'll have a great time together once again when we see you on the next Evolved Sales Leader live episode. I'm going to sign off for now. Thanks again for being here, everybody. Take care.